the European radio and digital audio show.
The personality is the secret, and not only the personality, but also the mixture of the characters within your morning team, and the mixture that ends in a plot with different perspectives, voices, and views on all the topics. And I'm sure, as I said before, this is our ratings insurance for the future.
Hello. There we go again. The next important thing is the audience. Know your target. What I find interesting is you need to know more and more about your audience. And I still see radio stations that have a chart on the wall and it says, we're broadcasting for Terry, 35 years old, interesting in shopping and dogs. I mean, you narrow down your target group so much, and it's unnecessary because it's not about the age. Age is not a good cluster for an audience. I tell you why. Because look at this little example. We have here Peter and Claire, both same age. Both studied, working, living in Berlin and have one child. And here you have Jeff and Sissy, same age, both studied, working, both living in Berlin, one child. This should be, if you go just by the facts, one target group, but it isn't at all. Because if you go deeper into their needs and their values of life, you see that they have an own house in the suburbs, they love jobs without any risks, they raise their child with a master plan, you know, I know these people too, yeah. And they're most afraid of new neighbors because they live their little life and they're bourgeois. And the others have a cool loft in the city, work in digital projects, they raise their child with no plan, and they're most afraid of old ideas, and they're performer. And therefore you have, since years, from the Sinus Institute in Heidelberg in Germany, you have these sinus milieus. And it's basically a study that comes every year, which clusters people into same values and same needs of life. And it's available for every single country in Europe. You can put your radio station in there. You can get that. It's not that expensive. And you get an idea from where you come and where you go in terms of audiences. And even though you can put digital values on that, you see that if you go into that bourgeois part in the middle, you see that the people there are not that firm with digital revolution. That's a thing that is driven by the performer. They're digital natives. So if you release your new app and you're a hot AC radio station with people that basically live in the suburbs of a big city, you don't have to wonder if they not take your app for granted in the first case. You have to work with them because you have to explain it to them. And it's something you need to know more and more in the future. Set up your target audience with much information you can get. This is, I don't know if that's the real original thing from 2018, I don't think so, but that's how it looks like for France. And you get that for Great Britain, and you get it for Netherlands, for everywhere. And we work with that since years at our radio stations. And it's quite easy then. You pick your milieus that fit together. That's basically not possible with every milieu. You can't put a traditionalist together with a digital native. That won't work. But you can, if you're a radio station right in the middle of the people, you can put nearly 4 milieus together. That's how it looks like at Radio PSR. And then you develop topic do's and topic don'ts. Doesn't matter what it says on here. It's basically our working ground for finding topics. So one is green and one is red. And it's like at every single situation in our radio station, you can find it everywhere. And that's how we use it for building our morning show topics.
5 minutes, I think. Okay.
And the reason is why you can't put a horoscope together with an Instagram story or a story about your new home in the suburbs with a YouTube girl. That doesn't fit together, and you see it in much radio stations that you try to fit everything, but that won't work. And the next part is for audience. You have to learn from your new digital listeners. Get as many data as you can get from them. create promotions with a digital twist to get more insights. That's how it looks like at Radio PSR. We have time spent listening data from our podcast with our morning show host. We see in our digital ratings the exact ratings for every hour, for every minute, and we can even tell our 80 stream, is it more loved by women or by men, and at what time in the day. So that will be the future. Learn more and more about your audience because you need it to make a better product. Next is relevance.
I would like to start with an example of morning shows you maybe know. Maybe you have listened to Elvis Duran in a morning show in his morning team from C100 in New York, which is a very relevant morning show. He's one of the most popular presenters in the world. And I'm absolutely convinced that personal topics make your show relevant. And if you, for example, listen to Elvis Duran, it's all about personal topics and topics that concern the members of the team. Remember the quote by Tracy Johnson, who is an American author and consultant from the beginning, who said, if you want your listeners to be loyal to your radio station, you have to mean something to them as a person. When you meet them on the streets, people speak to you about the personal topics you were talking on the radio. Those personal topics create emotion and personal engagement. And I'm sure most engagement you get with the stories, like the one from the dishwasher, people can relate to. So I'm convinced that every editorial meeting at the end should include one question to the presenters. What happened in your life or is supposed to happen that could be a topic for tomorrow's show? For example, did you have the first argument with your husband? Are you planning to have a tattoo? Share it with your listeners. And I'm convinced only a show with transparent characters and with personal topics, only a morning show with transparent characters and personal topics can become a show. And I'm convinced others will remain only a program. And I'm sure that this is, as I said before, our ratings insurance in times of digital disruption. When you talk about morning shows, it's very often compared to sitting on a table with friends and family. And remember, what are you doing when you're sitting on the breakfast table or on a table in the restaurant with friends and family? You tell personal stories. And as you saw on the chart before, I'm sure that those emotional personal stories are really very important. If you only have facts, it's only data that can appear everywhere. Only those emotional connection makes that connection and the loyalty you need for the future.
So it's the I in Paris is innovation, what you need for the morning show for the next 5 years. It's actually two parts. It's first is you need to grow your digital audience. We all know why, because a digital listener is worth more in money than a listener on FM because you can do more with him. And your morning show hosts, they should be the digital driver because they must sell your digital innovations like a good vacuum cleaner to the people because people trust them. The morning show host back in these days, he had actually his business was to sell the newest music to the people and they trusted him in that certain song. And now when they say, please use our app or anything else, it's the best made by your morning show hosts, so they should drive the digital revolution in your station. And the second innovation part is, let's skip that one, update your content regularly. It won't work anymore like 10 years ago. They said, if you find a good benchmark, just keep it. Keep it, every day the same. But people are bored way faster than before today. So don't use the same idea over years, but use the idea, but develop the idea further. Think about new spins for your promotions and add some spice for your on-air marketing. And remember always the digital possibilities. So you should be more progressive than in the years before for your morning show. And the last part is the S for strategy.
In the morning show, you need, of course, a strategy for the show, as we talked about before. But don't forget the on-air marketing for the show. This is very poor in some radio stations. What you definitely need, in my opinion, is a promo that works ahead and offers 2 or 1 concrete time, 1 concrete appointment for highlights for the next show. And a colleague of mine once had a very great example, a comparison. He said, see your morning show like the entrance of an absolutely fantastic hotel. In the hall of every hotel, you find signs that do a promotion for the lunchtime, and see your morning show as the lobby to your program. So the presenters have to talk about all the other slots in your program worth listening to, and force your presenters to talk about your music. Because when the morning show is over, the music is the thing that counts, the right music counts, and if you are top for morning show and music, it's really easy to be top of the market.
Yeah, that's for now. So we have a tease for the afternoon. We have a masterclass with 10 top tips for the future morning show. That's quite good stuff you can use right away. So see you soon at 2 o'clock over at the masterclass. Thank you so much.
Thanks for listening.
The European Radio and Digital Audio Show.